Are you thinking of getting your first bird? Well, here's what you need to consider. The first thing you need to know and stick to is your budget. Can you afford the bird in the first place, and then can you afford to keep providing for that bird year on year throughout its whole lifespan? One of the biggest problems we see in aviculture is people spending hundreds if not thousands of pounds on birds and then buying the cheapest, poorest quality food they can to save money. Well, if you're going to have an expensive bird, it's probably expensive because it's got quite a specific diet that may consist of lots of fruit, vegetables and or insects, so make sure you can afford to provide for them. Secondly, you need to know, why is it that you want a bird? Are you wanting a bird that's very friendly as a companion? Well, if that is the case, you probably need something like a parakeet, or a budgerigar, a cockatiel, or perhaps two lovebirds. Two, not one, two of them. Or are you wanting something that's a little bit more hands-off, shall we say? Something that's going to live in a large cage or an aviary and you're just going to sit and observe them, because in that case you probably want something like a finch or a canary that isn't really going to be hand-tamed but you can enjoy the view of. Then, depending on the species you've chosen, how much space can you afford to give that bird? We see plenty of times where people will go online and order very small cages for birds because it says recommended for a canary or recommended for a budgie. Well, don't go for the minimum recommendation, go for the optimum. Give them space, they want that space. I keep all of my birds in cages or aviaries far larger than they're supposed to be and make sure that that is comfortable for them. So make sure whatever you're offering your birds as housing is plenty big enough for them. You must also consider the bird's natural behaviour. What are they wanting to do on a regular basis? Are they going to wake you up in the morning singing as the sun rises? They're probably going to want to have things to destroy, things to play with, things to keep them entertained, particularly if they're on their own. And I recommend that all birds should be in as minimum pairs, and it can be same-sex pairs, but just make sure your bird has a companion perhaps when you're not around. And then finally, to influence your choice, you need to know how much time you can spend with that bird. If you're getting a companion bird, let's say for example an African grey, you need to make sure that if it's on its own particularly, you're able to spend at least an hour a day with that bird, ideally more, so the bird is entertained. Otherwise they really do suffer from destructive behaviours due to boredom, and that is the last thing you want, is a bird with poor welfare because you haven't provided for it correctly. So they are just a few things to consider when you're getting your first bird, and please make sure you do your research before you buy, because the bird's welfare is paramount.